My eyes were opened to the wonderful world of neckbeards. Ah, welcome, OP. Join us.
One of us, Google gobble, Google gobble, one of us.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. Today we are jumping into r/Tales of Neckbeards, but first, let's get some plugs and a warning disclaimer out of the way. I still think that's so cool. So today, as you can probably see in the title, we're going to check out an OG neckbeard, which is just proof that neckbeardery has been going on for longer than neckbeards were actually labeled. And then we'll head off to a neckbeard sleepover to see some cringy, horrible neckbeards in action. And there is a trigger warning for that, but it's right in the front of the story. So don't worry too much. We'll cover it when we get to it. And without any further delay, let's go ahead and jump right into these stories. RetroBeard, the OG of neckbeards. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of the OG of neckbeards. He was a neckbeard before neckbeards were even a thing. I'm in my 50s now, and this is the story of someone that I went to high school with. Until recently, I didn't even really know what a neckbeard was until a story from this subreddit appeared in my recommended feed for some reason. My eyes were opened to the wonderful world of neckbeards. Ah, welcome, OP. Join us. And it inspired me to tell my story. I'll call him RetroBeard since this story goes back nearly 40 years. A journey back to the past. RetroBeard was about average height and fat. He also had no neck, so he just looked like a meatball on top of a larger meatball. He might not have been quite 300 pounds, but he was damn close to it. He was a neckbeard in name only, since he couldn't actually grow any facial hair. Remember, OP, it's the beard on the inside that counts. Write that one down. His face was greasy and acne-ridden, and his hair was short and curly with a good amount of dandruff. This will be relevant in a minute, but RetroBeard was biracial. His mom was black, and his dad was white. I actually met both parents, and they were very nice, very normal people, unlike their son. I think the only way to go forward from here is just to give a list of things that RetroBeard did. These are in no particular order, just the order that I remembered them and wrote them down. RetroBeard loved Star Wars and comics. This was the early to mid-80s, so everyone liked Star Wars, but RetroBeard took it to an extreme. He talked constantly about both topics to anyone who would listen. Now, this was before anime was mainstream, at least in America, but I am sure that he would have loved anime if it had been around. RetroBeard only ate unhealthy food. He brought his own lunch every day, which often consisted of pizza, chips, and soda. I never once saw him eating anything that could be considered healthy. The remains of his meals could often be found smeared on his face or dribbled on his shirt. Well, it's no wonder why he's 300 pounds, eh? RetroBeard was also remarkably sweaty. This was in New Hampshire, by the way. My non-American readers might not have heard of it, so let me explain. New Hampshire is the northeastern part of the country on the border with Canada. It is a very cold place. There is no reason that this man should have been so sweaty. He's well insulated, OP. RetroBeard was suspended for bringing a Viking battle axe to school in his backpack. Not a katana, a Viking battle axe. It still counts. Yes, really. Side note, this was before internet shopping, so how on earth did this man obtain a battle axe? We may never know. On another occasion, RetroBeard was suspended for having a baseball bat with a nail through it like they use in zombie movies. Jesus. I don't think RetroBeard was actually planning to hurt anyone. I think he just thought that those things were cool and wanted to show them off. Yeah, I always want to talk to the guy that's carrying around a bat with a nail stuck through it. We'll be fast friends. There was one singular Muslim person in the school, and his name was Muhammad. RetroBeard did not like Muhammad, to say the least. He referred to him as racial epithets all the time, along with comparing Muhammad to Saddam Hussein, and asked if he was gonna bring a bomb to school. Keep in mind, this was nearly 2 decades before 9/11, so terrorism jokes were certainly not in good taste, but they weren't nearly as offensive or racially charged as they would be today. You don't really need to qualify that, OP. It's a terrible thing to say no matter the time. RetroBeard was caught masturbating to a page in the biology textbook, which showed a drawing of a naked woman and labeled the different parts of her anatomy. This took place in the bathroom. RetroBeard didn't even go into the stall. He was just standing in the corner looking at the textbook and masturbating. Oh man, that was tough times before internet porn, I'll tell you that. I shared a story recently about the Bloodhound Gang Hooray for Boobies CD, where a kid named Joe took it into the bathroom and jerked off to the CD, but at least that kid did it at the urinal. And in case you don't know, the CD looks like a boob vaguely, so I guess he was excited by that. But a drawing of a whole naked lady, wow, that's a horse of a different color. RetroBeard considered himself very skilled in martial arts, despite the fact that he had never trained in martial arts in his life. Oh, that's neckbeardy as hell. He could sometimes be found punching and kicking the air with frequent "Hiya!" noises. RetroBeard also really wanted a girlfriend, but the general female population ranged from thinking that he was weird to being outright disgusted by him. RetroBeard did not have a girlfriend in high school. I'm pretty sure he's married now though, so I guess he found someone. Probably a LEGBEARD. RetroBeard insisted that
He didn't have to wash his hands after he used the bathroom
because he had...
superior antibodies.
Bro, you don't wash hands after bathroom for yourself. You do it for other people. RetroBeard said he wanted to be a firefighter, but there were several issues with this. First, he was so out of shape that he puffed and wheezed after going up a single flight of stairs. Second, he was terrified of fire. Oh, that's a problem. In science class, we used Bunsen burners for something, and RetroBeard insisted on standing at least 5 feet back from the burners and refused to move any closer. RetroBeard considered himself
very intelligent.
Despite barely passing most of his classes. He usually called people he considered himself smarter than
plebeians and imbeciles.
RetroBeard failed biology class. Remember how I said he was biracial? Well, he came to the conclusion that the reason he got failed was not because he was stupid and didn't do any of the work. No, it was because the teacher was a racist. He got in an argument with the teacher, which culminated in him screaming,
"You bitch! You just hate me because I'm biracial!"
That isn't the term that he actually used, but the term he actually used is no longer considered socially acceptable. Did this take place in the 80s or the 50s? Good lord. The stairs in my school had 2 sections. A lower section, a landing, and then an upper section that doubled back the other way. On several occasions, RetroBeard was caught standing on the lower section of the stairs, trying to look up girls' skirts as they walked up and down the upper section. RetroBeard would often have white stains on the front of his shirt. They might not have been semen, but his angry reaction when people asked what they were seems to suggest otherwise. RetroBeard, in the end, did manage to graduate high school, although barely. Last I heard, he was the manager of a game store, so living the dream, I suppose. I still live in the town I grew up in, and so does he, so I've seen him around town a few times. I never knew him enough to really talk with him, though. I have to say, though, I'm honored to have seen the OG of neckbeards in his heyday. There are plenty examples of neckbeards throughout history. Some of the greatest plays feature neckbeards. Granted, they were of a different stripe and color, obviously, because media has sort of changed throughout the decades, so they might have been closer to, like, nice guys, but the neckbeard/nice guy mindset has been going on for a very, very long time, as far as I can tell. And it's really cool to kind of have a glimpse back and see what one of these specimens was like 40 years ago, you know? Anime had not made its way to the West, but guess what? Anime's not to blame. It's a cultural problem. But I do think that the problem has only grown more widespread because people are largely more insulated. They can find like-minded individuals on the internet and kind of form their own little groups, literal neckbeard nests online, if you will. And that is why I've made it my mission to study neckbeards. I'm not trying to disrupt their ecology or anything like that. I'm not trying to break up these neckbeard nests. I just want to observe. I want to become tuned in to every single warning sign, all the little minutia, what they eat and drink, and how they are in their natural environment. That's why at the beginning I say it's totally science, because this is science that we're doing here. It's just not widely recognized as a field of study yet, but we are going to change that. You and me together, friends. Let's do this thing. Retrobeard absolutely sounds like a neckbeard. Obviously, OP has done his homework in what a neckbeard is, because this dude has basically checked every single box. If we were playing neckbeard bingo, he would have a full scorecard. So great job with the post, OP. Thank you so much for sharing. If any other neckbeards jump to the front of your mind, feel free to post them and I'll read it out. I love this glimpse to the past type of stuff. It's actually pretty interesting that neckbeard used to be a term of endearment among nerds, and then it kind of got co-opted. And like the older neckbeards were called greybeard. So I guess technically now retrobeard would be a greybeard if it were still a term of endearment. But it's been driven off the rails, so I suppose it's no longer the case. And it's not really a status that should be given any type of endearment anyways. If it means you're good at video games or D&D, then okay. But if it means you're out there destroying your body with fatty foods and trying to sexually harass women, I can't sign off on that. So neckbeard it is. Get that neckbeard stamp out. Boom, neckbeard. And with all that out of the way, probably rambling far too much, I suppose we shall get into the next story. Mama Terri and the Three Beards Part 2, Cockroach Boogaloo. And if you missed Part 1, the link is in the description. Go check that out if you should like. Welcome back, dear readers, to a tale of woe and dread. A tale not for the faint of heart, nor the weak of stomach. Today our story is going to be particularly graphic, so if you're squeamish or uncomfortable with pedophilic behaviors, you may wish to avoid traveling down this path. I'm quite uncomfortable, but I put myself through these things for the sake of my subscribers. Hopefully there will be some silly, laughable cringe, and it's not just outright horrible, but I guess we shall see. No, you've chosen to venture the path? Feel brave, do you? Well, then let us embark on this journey into the grotesque world of the Cockroach Kingdom. Oh no. Our cast of 5 is as follows. OP is yours truly. Mama Bear, my fierce mother and protector of the Weird Magnet, aka me. There's Mama Legbeard, Queen of the Cockroach Kingdom, long may she reign. Little Legbeard, Princess and heir to the Cockroach Kingdom. And WoWbeard, WB, the King of the Cockroach Kingdom and Master of the World of Warcraft realms. Now, while writing this, I realized that I had blocked out a major fact, so let me reiterate that this story has pedophilic content that apparently I had repressed within my memory. You have been warned. So, dear readers, we have come to the cursed weekend. I was dropped off with a hug goodbye from Mama Bear. If you need me to pick you up any hour of the night, I will come, so don't hesitate to call me, alright? She'd been reluctant to release me from the hug, which as a child made me embarrassed, but I thank that lifeline that she threw me to this day. So I walked up to the door and knocked with a present and a bag of McDonald's in hand. A single party balloon on the rather ragged and might I add jagged mailbox was blowing to and fro in the October wind. I nearly freaked out when I heard that single balloon pop, and of course, that just so happened to be when Mama Legbeard came to the door in all her sweaty glory. She saw me, she saw the balloon, and she frowned quite heavily to the point I noticed her dried cracked lips were bleeding ever so slightly. Not enough to dribble down her chinny chin, but enough to go, oh, gross. Get some Vaseline, what's going on with you? Mother Legbeard.
Did you pop the balloon, OP? That's very rude.
OP? No, I would never. Mama Legbeard.
Well, whatever, but if you break anything else, I'll be calling your mom.
Guilty until innocent. I gotcha. OP? Yes, Mama Legbeard, I understand. I thought it best to merely agree, lest I be forced to have my mother immediately turn around. As I stepped inside the door, I could smell an odor, which I couldn't quite recognize, but one that I did not like nonetheless. But as the second door was open that led from the porch into the house, I realized that I had made an awful mistake. If you've ever breathed in stale air, then you'll know what it smells like, but this was a special kind of stale air. Like the finest toilet wine, the air held notes of the dog and cat feces that littered the floor, every step I took bringing a very noticeable squishing sound that came from under my feet. Oh God! The floor was soaked with urine, though I didn't realize it until later because it was mixed with various soft drinks, as urine isn't sticky, or at least I hope not. The furniture was in tatters from the cats clawing it to shreds, as well as being smeared with what I could only assume was various dipping sauces. And what could only be described as the pinnacle of neckbeard fashion, Cheeto stripes. Hell yeah, Cheeto stripes. That couch has +5 melee combat strength. Now among the pet waste lying around the floor was the half-eaten moldy remains of various meals cast aside to the many, many occupants of the cockroach kingdom that in the semi-darkened house scattered across their domain. It was clear that they were as well fed as the kingdom's royalty because these were not small cockroaches. Oh no, these were end-of-the-world, radioactive-sized roaches. I think some of them were bigger than a standard pink eraser, which makes me wonder if these were average North American roaches or not.
Yeah, we import all our roaches.
High class. But the worst part was the smells from the poor puppy who so happily greeted me, whose fur was so matted with bodily waste that it probably weighed the thing down. When it began jumping up at me, Mama Legbeard chucked a couch cushion at it, which made the poor thing run away in high gear. The puppy and the elderly cats, whom came while we sat at the couch, were skin and bones, clearly underfed and watered, which was truly upsetting, as I always held a deep love for animals. But the worst part were the fleas and ticks that covered them like an infestation. That is an infestation. Upon writing this, I believe they may even have had botflies as well. Jesus Christ. The cockroaches are well fed and the animals aren't? What's up with that? I'd think that those animals would clean up the meals faster than the cockroaches would. To this day, I do not know how I withstood the 8 hours that I did within that house. I held myself back from retching as little Legbeard waddled out of her room, looking annoyed instead of happy to see me. Little Legbeard,
You finally arrived! I was thinking you ditched me.
OP, no, I had to help my mom babysit my little cousins while my aunt went to the hospital. She went into labor, and so we had to help out. Mama Bear dropped me off on her way home to change clothes. Little Legbeard looked almost disgusted at the mention of my aunt having a child, rolling her eyes before she glared at me. Little Legbeard,
What a bitch giving birth on my day! I hope that baby dies!
holy shit. I'd like to come up with a joke or something to level that out, but all I can really come up with is like, holy shit. That's nuts. That hit me like a sack of bricks, as my aunt had miscarried 4 times while trying for another child, but I remained silent, not wishing to upset her any further than I already had. I decided to break the silence with the bag of McDonald's that I held in my hand. I brought us some McDonald's, I exclaimed, trying my best to be happy, though that was quickly ruined as little Legbeard grabbed the bag from my hands and waddled over to the couch, plopping down on the ruined sofa. Rummaging through the bag, she looked displeased, sighing as her eyes rolled once again. Little Legbeard,
Seriously? Chicken nuggets? No chicken selects? What are you, a baby? Whatever. Let's put on Twilight. Edward is so hot.
Ah yes, Chicken Selects. The premier McDonald's food. Along with the imported cockroaches, you can tell that this family's really high class. Little Legbeard was a serious Twilight fangirl, grabbing her Edward body pillow. No, they have those? And placing it on the couch beside her. I stood there a bit awkward, not really wanting to sit on the couch, but decided to sacrifice my coat for the sake of not touching its surface. I also placed my present on the computer desk that was across the room from the couch, seeing various WoW items decorating the space. It was clear whom this space belonged to. As we watched the first movie, I waited for her to hand me some chicken nuggets or some fries, But during the first 15 minutes, she devoured everything in the bag. $30 of McDonald's. $30 that I had saved from a month of chores was gone, and I had not a single bite of the crispy goodness that was a chicken nugget. These days, I don't partake in it though, as I can't eat gluten. The gluten's not the part you have to worry about, OP. That's reconstituted chicken parts. You don't want any of that, despite the gluten. During my 8 hours there, despite how absolutely nauseating it was, I pet the poor cats and puppy because it was clear that they didn't receive any affection and they were so starved of it. I couldn't deny them that, since I couldn't give them any food or water, as the kitchen was off limits
due to plumbing problems.
That was not a lie, and in all actuality, I know this because later in the month, the floors collapsed due to the rotting wood from the water just leaking wherever it pleased. Yeah, we got a plumbing problem in the kitchen, so don't go in there, but I'm not gonna fix it either. Stupid. I sat in silence as the first movie played, trying not to focus on how hungry I was. It wasn't until halfway through the third movie that I lost my appetite, as that was when I met WoWbeard. Now, Mama LEGBEARD had gone into the royal bedchambers to rest, and we were told to be quiet, lest we angered the royal couple. Though, throughout the 7.5 hours, there was a very distinct metal creaking coming from the royal royal bedchamber. Oh no! Neckbeard and LEGBEARD coitus is the worst coitus. Eventually, he emerged, and to this day I can still see him in my nightmares. His dark black hair matted to his head by the sweat dripping off of his body, his greasy acne that covered every inch of him, the endless rolls that swayed back and forth. The smell he emanated could only be described as hell on fire. The reason he shall henceforth be known as WoWbeard was because he had his character tattooed on his chest. I will admit, that is hardcore. You know that guy's playing a night elf female, dancing on top of mailboxes in Ironforge. But the worst part was the fact that he only wore underwear that had a very specific stain coming from a very certain appendage. Remembering back, it actually enlarged when seeing me, and I cannot guarantee that he did not do things to little LEGBEARD based on some choice comments she made before that day. WoWbeard.
Well, hello there, my lady. You must be little LEGBEARD's friend. I didn't know she had such pretty friends. I'm WoWbeard, little LEGBEARD's dad.
OP. Hello there, I'm Mama Terri. It's nice to meet you. I've always been shy meeting new people, but this man just made me viscerally uncomfortable for some reason. However, I soon found out what that reason was. Little LEGBEARD.
Daddy, come watch Edward. He's the dreamiest.
WoWbeard rolled his eyes, probably thinking,
how Edward was such a Chad.
But he sat down next to me, placing his hand on my knee. WoWbeard.
You know, if you're uncomfortable sleeping alone, you can always climb into bed with me and Mama LEGBEARD. I promise the bed is nice and cozy. You can lay on my chest too if you'd like. Ha ha! I'll be your daddy away from home.
OP, with all of the alarm bells ringing in my head. No, thank you. Thank you for the offer. May I ask where the bathroom is? WoWbeard moved his hand from my knee up my thigh, patting it gently before resting it there. WoWbeard.
Yeah, it's the door next to little LEGBEARD's room. Hurry back, though.
I took his hand in my own and removed it from my leg, smiling politely as I made my way to the bathroom. When I got there, I quickly pulled out my phone and texted my mom the safe phrase that we had come up with if I ever needed help, praying that she wasn't too preoccupied to get the text, which would leave me stuck there for even more time. I didn't know about pedophiles at the time, but I knew that this was not right. This feeling in my gut was not right. She immediately texted me and said she'd be there in 10 minutes, to go to the bathroom and to just wait for her. I told her I was already there, but I needed to tell them that I was leaving, to which she reluctantly agreed. I left the bathroom and went back to the living room, the two of them looking at me as I returned. WoWbeard.
What's wrong, OP? Is everything all right?
OP? No, my mom texted me and said that she was on her way here. Said there was a family emergency. WoWbeard?
Oh, that's a shame. Well, next time we can have a sleepover, just the three of us. I'll buy you a nice set of pajamas. What size are you?
He licked his lips as he looked me up and down. OP? I'm large, but it's okay. I have my own. WoWbeard?
Nonsense. You need a pair for when you come over here. I promise you will take good care of them so you have a nice, clean pair every time.
I wasn't going to win that argument, so I merely smiled and nodded, looking to little Legbeard, who had tears in her eyes. Little Legbeard?
You're leaving on my birthday? You fucking bitch! Get out of my house! I don't ever want to see you again!
I was shocked. Honestly, I thought that she would understand if a family emergency came up, but she was absolutely furious, as the color in her face suggested, since she hadn't walked around at all. WoWbeard?
Princess, don't be like that. It's a family emergency. She can't help it.
Little Legbeard?
No! Fuck you both! Rotten hell, you fucking bitch! I hate you so much!
Turned into Cartman. As fast as she could waddle, she rushed to her room, slamming the door shut as her father got up from the couch with a very loud creak. He went into her room and closed the door, the sound of them arguing and yelling heard from within. A groggy Mama Legbeard emerged from her hibernation, waddling to where I stood. Mama Legbeard?
What happened? Why are they arguing?
OP? I'm not sure, but my mom says there was a family emergency. Bye, Mama Legbeard, and thank you for having me. I hope to be able to spend the night next time. Not really. Before she even had time to respond, I rushed out the door without my coat, finding my mom turning down the street. I didn't even wait. I ran down the street to meet her, with tears streaming down my face. She didn't ask me questions and just drove me the 5 minutes home and got inside. I told her about the state of the house and the poor animals, but I didn't tell her about what had happened with WoWbeard. Looking back, I think that I just thought he was trying to be friendly in his own misguided way, but writing this, I definitely know why I blocked it out. I just hope that me not telling Mama Bear about what happened didn't lead to more girls suffering as I did, although I doubt that's the case. The pets were taken by the local police department, as the house was condemned for being uninhabitable due to the numerous molds, the multitude of insect infestations, and the sheer mass of pet waste within. The floor actually collapsed during inspection, which obviously led to the final decision. They moved into a trailer after that in the next town over. Just where they belong, I think. I never spoke to little Legbeard again, as she gave me the silent treatment, though that was for the best, as soon after I met my two best friends in the whole world, my gal pals, the duo to complete the Three Musketeers. So in the end, this tale does have a happy ending. And to ReddX, hey! Thank you for doing my story justice. While in the end this is the tale of the three beards, I will eventually post the tale of Mama Terri and Mr. Greybeard. A tale of ropes, broken hearts, and body odor. Winky face? Is that winky face a reference to Adelaide's story? And I even talked about greybeards in the previous story, so this like all loops in together. The lore of the ReddX channel is getting so deep, you guys. It's really exciting to see it come together. I don't even really know what to say about that house aside from, yes, it should have been condemned. It should have been condemned a long time ago. In the first story, they definitely kept you out of the house for good reason, because your mother probably would have immediately called somebody to come and do something. I guess they thought that a little girl wouldn't tell or something. That's the only reason they invited you in. I'm a little torn internally about which part boils my blood more. The animal abuse or the pedophilia. I guess it is the pedophilia. It was like light, just touching the leg, but just what was implied. I hate it. And then the poor animals too, man. Like a dog just covered in its own shit. Probably just because they can't be asked to, get off the freaking couch and go take it outside. Like, is that so very hard? And then the dog shits inside or pees inside and they probably get upset at it. Ugh. And then the part where she says she hopes the baby dies, like, oh my God, should have slapped her in the mouth at that point. Everybody in that family just needs to get the crap beat out of them. I hope that's what happened when they moved into the trailer park. They just became the bottom bitches for everybody else there. This is just absolutely a shocking and horrible journey into the cockroach kingdom. I'm so glad that you never had to return. Matter of fact, nobody ever had to return. They ripped this monument to failure to the ground, and probably all those cockroaches went in search of a new home, which the neighbors probably weren't happy about. One thing I know about cockroach infestations is like, the big ones aren't the ones you have to worry about. You gotta look for the little ones, then you know you're like truly infested. But the big ones are the ones that are like fat enough to get caught out during the day and shit. So I have no doubt that this place was absolutely infested considering the state of everything. Ugh. It is some hardcore cringe. I was hoping for like a little more laughing and stuff, but man, this was a difficult one to get through. Regardless, I do hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you like, comment, and or subscribe. If you did, check out the links in the description. There are some links there that weren't featured in the plug splash page from the beginning of the video. And as always, I would be remiss not to thank my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons. You'll see some names on the screen right now. But in particular, I'd like to call out Lady Nix, Robert Waits, Pope Squid, Rebecca H, Cider Drinker, Tato Fair, The Last Shinobi, Mark 211, Michael Undead, Aaron W, and Mitch. Thank you guys so much for helping me to live the dream. If anybody else can support monetarily, obviously that's massively appreciated. But if you can't, don't worry about it. I just appreciate you guys being here with me today, and I hope that you come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow. In order to do so, you'll need to wash your hands. It's super important. You know what else is important? Is taking some time out and doing something that you enjoy today. Maybe that's watching another ReddX video. I highly encourage it. Anyways, I will see you in the next one, friends. And until then, bye-bye.